Wall Street Memes Casino,
I'm fine.
and Sportsbook.
Andrew McCart, iFLTV. I'm here in Liverpool and I've got Liverpool's own Paul Smith, my good friend. Listen, I was at the coffee shop this morning. Where were you?
I was busy this morning. I've got Liv Hussey fighter I manage fighting tonight in Knowsley, not far from here, about 20 minutes away from here, and I've got Ste Clarke fighting tomorrow, obviously. So yesterday we had Liv's way and I couldn't make that. I was busy with that. So Stephen, her trainer, my brother was there, and Stephen trains Ste Clarke as well. So bit of a joint effort. So I've got to set off for Liv shortly, and then busy again tomorrow with Steve. But I'll be in there first thing in the morning, bright-eyed, bushy tail, for nice coffee, nice bit of food with you, mate, definitely.
If you're ever in Liverpool, baby coffee, I can vouch for it. It's great food and great coffee. But yeah, I want to talk about Ste Clarke because he's just literally turned pro. I mean, it's a quick turnaround from the Gil Jarrett fight. It was co-main event, really, because he came on just before the main event. Now he's got a quick turnaround. You know yourself as a manager and being an ex-fighter, Paul, that it's all well and good if you can fight, but selling tickets and being that promoter's dream is half the battle as well.
Yeah, it is, and there's been many people who can fight very, very well, but just can't sell tickets, and they won't really realise or reach the full potential because they're not getting the opportunities because they just can't sell tickets. So a promoter putting them on the show is technically losing money, whereas with Steve, every show he's going to be on, the promoter's making plenty off him, and he's getting paid well because he's selling a lot of tickets and he's putting bums on seats, but he can't fight. He's ABA champion as well. He was on Team GB and he's turned pro. He's done it the right way. He's so dedicated and disciplined. And I'm really happy and that he's getting busy. And again, thanks to Matchroom and for getting him out on these shows because he's showcasing what he can do on live television. After tomorrow, with a bit of luck, he'll have had 3 fights, 3 wins and been live on television all 3 times, once on Sky, twice on DAZN. So it's about being busy in the first year as a fighter, more importantly than earning money, but he's luckily, thankfully, managing to do both because he's selling a lot of tickets and he's got a great following, a good family behind and really good team around him, a family core unit with his mum and dad, his brother, helping him out a lot, and the better he does, the more he sells, the better he'll be.
I don't trust Lee Eaton behind me, you know that. I don't trust him.
Every interview I do, Lee Eaton manages to stand behind you and either pull his pants down or do something funny in time, wind me up and try and get to me.
That's how Lee Eaton. Yeah, Ste Clarke, right? It seems like him and Jimmy Sains have been mentioned every single fight week I've been at with them, right? Now, as a manager, that fight makes sense, obviously, because it's one each in the amateurs. We just saw the Haney and Garcia, the build-up. It's not that magnitude, right? But they waited until a world title was on the line. They didn't do it quite early. As a manager, we all want to see that fight. We want to know, you know what I mean, settle the score, so to speak. As a manager, Paul, when do you want to see this fight? Would it be for a British title, a world title? When do you want to see that sort of fight between those 2 fighters?
Normally, I'd say wait until a world title, but the way things are going now in boxing, good fights are happening for British title fights. As long as the fighters are getting paid really well, making good money out of it, and it's for something meaningful, then what's the point in having that fight? I said this time and again, you'll hear me speaking about Jimmy Sains a lot, you're speaking about him, Jimmy Sains a lot might be speaking about Ste Clarke a lot. They're 2 very nice, respectful, polite kids. They've got a lot of respect for each other. I've got a lot of respect for Jimmy Sains. I think he's a very talented kid. His team, Tony Sims, everyone around him, good people. You won't hear a bad word out of my mouth about them and vice versa back, because I'd like to think they feel the same and think the same. Steve's a lovely, respectful, polite kid. I'm very respectful in boxing, and I don't like calling people out, and I'm not calling them out, but I've spoken to Jimmy Sains. I said, look, you're probably going to hear me talk about you a lot. I'm going to hear your team talking about us a lot. It's all respect. I respect you. I shook his hand. I wish them all the best. That's how it is. But eventually and inevitably, they probably will end up fighting. They probably will end up having that 3rd fight. And fingers crossed, it's for a lot of money for them both. It's for the British title or the world title down the line, and the best man will win on the night. And I'm not concentrating solely on Jimmy Sains at all, to be honest with you. He's not on our radar just yet, but as you say, potentially and eventually they will be on a bit of a course to collide in future, probably, if they both stay at the same weight and they both keep winning. I can see them both keeping winning. If they both stay at middleweight, then it could happen down the line. They're both 2 very good kids, very talented kids, but most importantly, nice, polite, respectful kids as well. And they probably won't be mentioning each other, but we all will as management teams and as broadcasters like yourselves, and it gets people talking about them, it gets people looking forward to the fights in future or future fights that they both have, not against each other. and if it happens, great. But as I say, I'm glad you've asked about that, because it's nice to sort of give my complete take on it without hearsay. You won't hear the bad words about them from my mouth, and I don't think you'll hear it from them, but it's a great fight if and when it happens. But yeah, to answer your question, British title, I hope we get to that stage, and it'll be no problem having that if Jimmy Sains is in the other corner. Imagine them two fighting for the British title somewhere, you know what I mean, and especially if it's somewhere up here it'll sell out completely, and down there Jimmy's got a good following down there as well. But yeah, it's one that could be happening for the future, and I'd have no problem with that for British title, fingers crossed.
This is a next gen card in Liverpool. You've got Frankie Stringer, you've got Ste Clarke, you know very well, you've got McGrail brothers, Peter and Joe. Now, before I started at IFLTV 7-8 years ago, I was training at Lock End alongside Josh Taylor amateurs, and when I was watching Sky Sports, I was watching the Smith brothers, I was watching you, Liam, Swifty and Callum, I was watching Derry Matthews, I was watching Tony Bellew. That was a golden era for Scouse boxing. Now with the crop of talent that I see right now, can there be a resurgence? Can there be a new course of Scouse fighters coming through to bring back that era when, back in the day when it was you, your brothers and Tony Bellew? Is this the right crop right now that we're going to see that golden era?
I got asked something similar to this recently, from not in an interview, just from someone speaking about boxing. And they were like, how does it work? And I said, well, look, Sheffield at the time when they had Naz, Johnny Nelson, Ryan Rhodes, all the fighters coming through, and they were doing really well. Then Manchester took over, and it was Carl Thompson, it was Steve Foster and Hatton, Gomez, Farnell, all that. Like, then Liverpool have had it with ourselves, Bellew, Derry, you mentioned a few others. You know, it's always sort of swings and roundabouts. Sheffield's got Dalton Smith again at the moment, and they're hoping for a few more. Boston, a couple of other lads coming through. You know, Liverpool has certainly got a good group and crop of young fighters coming through. McGrail is knocking on the door for the good level, and the rest are all really good prospects who are coming through. In the next 12 to 18 months, that'll be even better. But when I was asked about Steve, like, how far do you think he can go? Well, he's got every potential to do what the Smith brothers, Bellew and the likes of the lads did from the Rotunda, because he's won an ABA title, he's represented England, and he's from good stock, good pedigree behind him, won national titles, and is turning pro. So there's nothing stopping him doing what we all do, because that's how we started out. It's all up to him now, and how he's matched, how he's guided from his training team, how he's looked after. But the sky's the limit. There's no real ceiling on his potential. Hopefully he can do that. Hopefully McGrail can overcome his loss last time. Mentally, I said to him before, you know, I've been in a position he's in, I've been beat, I've been stopped, and in the first fight after you've been stopped, it's a fucking tough one, because you've got so many demons in your mind. The last time you were in the ring, you got beat, you got stopped, you got caught, you got hurt. I've been there. It's a lot of relief when you win, and I think he'll get the win tomorrow. He should get the win tomorrow, and hopefully he looks good, and he can then, you know, in a way we need McGrail to win tomorrow to keep the likes of Frankie, Steve and all the others on the undercards coming through. When I turned pro, we didn't have that in Liverpool, so I was on the Hatton cards, and I was having to bring them to Manchester, and I remember selling tickets for it, and it was completely so much easier selling tickets for a Ricky Hatton fight than it was for selling them in a leisure centre. So as all the lads want to sit ringside, they want to watch Ricky Hatton, and therefore you do good numbers on your sales, and I was taking 300 odd to Manchester for that reason. But if Ricky went on the bill, it wouldn't have been that case. In this city, we could have it where you'd have someone like McGrail, or obviously my brother Lee and brother Callum, you know, top of the bill, big name fighters, and then a good undercard stack with good Scouse talent. But there's nothing stopping any of them from going as far as they want. You know, they've got the ability, they've got the infrastructure around them, they've got the promotional team behind them, so there's nothing stopping them. Sky's the limit.
Away from sort of this show, I want to go and talk about a couple of things that happened in the boxing world of late that I haven't spoke to you about. Is obviously last weekend, Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia managed to drop Haney 3 times en route to a majority decision. It fooled the world, it seems, with his sort of like antics pre-build-up. Yeah, your thoughts on all that?
Did he fool the world though? Or was he just told to completely rein it in, otherwise something's going to happen? And again, like, I've had so many dickheads popping up on Twitter. Oh, you were wrong. Everyone in boxing was wrong. We all thought. But technically, I never said Haney's going to wipe him out, or Haney's going to destroy him, or Garcia's got no chance. I wasn't really talking about the fight. I was talking about his behaviour and how he was. And in my opinion, he didn't look normal. He didn't look well. He looked like he was on something. He looked like he was out of it a little bit, or whatever way you want to put it. He didn't look himself. If that was an act, then he had me fooled completely. He had everyone fooled, but I don't think it is. I keep seeing he bet 2 million on himself. Where's the betting slip? Because if I bet 2 million quid on myself to win anything, you're going to see my betting slip. I guarantee you, everyone's going to see it. Mayweather bets $1 million to win 200 grand, and he puts his betting slip up. Where's the betting slip? Because
Everybody posts their wins, don't they?
everyone posts the wins, not many post the losses, but it's like, if you did do that, where's the proof of it firstly? If you did, good on you, it's nothing to do with me, it's absolutely no skin off my nose. I don't mind, but you just get too many of these gullible people. Ryan did this, Ryan did that. You've never met him. I've never met him. So I couldn't tell you about him personally and how he is. Even me saying he doesn't look well or he doesn't look normal is just to what I've seen of him in the past, because I don't know the lad. He might be his usual self. Every time we've seen him recently, he might have been putting an act on to be normal, and that might be the real kid. You just don't know. You don't know what kind of life he's had. For the age he is and the money he's made, that's a big challenge to anyone. And the fact that he's going to the gym, training, performing at the level that he performs at, he deserves massive respect, because he's got plenty of money sitting in the bank, and it's very hard to be motivated in professional boxing when you've got that. You know, that's a fact. Everyone knows that. So, well done to him, done really well, surprised everyone. No one really probably thought he was going to drop Haney 3 times and win the way he did. If anything, I felt Garcia would have probably had a chance with his speed early on, probably only had 5 or 6 rounds in him. And that may have been the case, but he hurt him, dropped him, I think it was the 7th, was it? And then from then on, you're definitely staying in the fight, and the power and the strength was there with him. I've seen so many people as well saying he failed to make the weight intentionally. Like, you don't know that. I don't know that. No one knows that. Only he and his team know that. But I'll tell you, as someone who's failed weight, it's fucking hard to do. If you know you're not going to do it, then you have that question, well, look, if I do get this last 2 pounds out of me, I'm probably not going to be able to make the fight. Or I can bite the bullet, pay whatever fine I've got to go, and at least I know I'm not going to make it, but I'm going to turn up tomorrow in relatively decent condition to fight in. If that's what he did, which is what the common sense thing would say he did, then fair play, it worked, yeah. People saying it's unfair on Haney and this and that, but Haney chose to still have to fight. He didn't have to fight him. You've made plenty of money, so it's not that you have to fight for the money. You don't need to take that fight, but you chose to take that fight, so therefore you're fighting the man your weight. I've also seen people saying he's still the champion, and I'm not sure on that, whether that's the case. I'm not sure. If you're a challenger and you're a champion and you fail the weight, you can't defend your title, but the opponent can still win it because he's made weight. So why isn't it the other way around? And again, I'm not calling for him to be stripped by any stretch of the imagination. I hope he stays champion. He hasn't lost his fight to a fighter his weight, his belt, to a fighter his weight. So he should technically still be champion. But if you're paying sanctioning fee for that fight, which he will have paid, then technically the belt was on the line and you lost. So I don't know what will happen there. But in a long-winded way, Garcia, good on him. Great. I'd be very interested to see how he is after the fight. I'll be very interested to see whether it was all completely an act or whether he was actually... Like he's on the scales with a bottle of what he said was beer. If you think that's lager, then you know you're more deluded than anyone. He's sitting miming to drink probably an empty bottle or a bottle full of water on the scales. Again, just to get people like us talking about it, which we are. As a fighter, he's done unbelievably well. He's made plenty for himself. I'm not sure if he's achieved as much as he wants to achieve just yet. He's got more in the tank now. Yet to be, that's what I mean. Yet to be a world champion, but. If he wants to carry on and fight at the weight above, then he probably will. But he's already talking about catch weights with other fighters like Gervonta Davis and that. So I'm not sure if he actually wants the titles and the belts, and he's just happy with the bank balance. If he is, every credit to him. Good luck to him. But it was very interesting few days, put it that way. And I woke up the next morning, half asleep, looked and thought, fuck me, he won. No way. That's a surprise first, as I'm probably sure you did, and many other people in the boxing world. But well done to him.
Terence Crawford, Israel Madrimov. I mean, Eddie Hearn His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh, they're shaking up the boxing world, him and Frank Warren as well, and they're getting these promoters, these PBC. I know there's maybe 3 PBC fighters, a Golden Boy, 5 match for him on this show in America. Don't quote me on that, I might be wrong. I'm going to get some guy commenting underneath this, but do you know what I mean? It's good to see these promoters working together, and Terence Crawford becoming a 3-weight undisputed champion, Paul. Can he do it?
I tweeted last night on that, weirdly enough, this will be something else if he does it. If he can become undisputed champion at 3 weights, no matter, don't forget, it's more belts than the greats like Hagler, Hearns and Leonard and all that used to do. Leonard fought Hearns for the WBA and the WBC. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they were the only 2 belts available at the time. So that was the undisputed championship. But that's the daddy at that weight. That's the number 1 at light welterweight. And then he probably went on to do it at welterweight and as well above. But that's 2 belts. This is 4 belts, and albeit the fight is at a lesser caliber probably than what were the champions back then. But it's tougher to do because there's 4 belts. If he can become undisputed champion at three weight divisions, then if there's not enough respect on him or his name at the moment, there definitely will be and should be, because that is some achievement to do. Fighters struggle to win 1 world title, never mind undisputed champion at 3 different weights, and that would be phenomenal if he does it. And I think that performance in his last fight, I said this and I don't want to sound negative towards him because I'm absolutely not. Obviously I'm a massive fan of him and he's fucking brilliant. But I don't know whether that was like the icing on the cake last time. Like, he rose to the highest level that he could possibly, because he looked unbelievable against Spence. He made Spence look ordinary, and Spence is not ordinary. Now, granted, Spence probably went at his best, possibly injured, possibly, you know, the rumours people were saying about him with his health a little bit deteriorating. I don't know. I hope it's not true. I hope that was Spence at his best, and Crawford is that good. He made him look ordinary because he did. But if we see him rise to that level again, then he's a great, and he's an all-time great in my opinion. If he doesn't quite rise to that level, he'll still have enough to beat these fighters. And Madzamov's a very good fighter. I've commentated on him before a couple of times. I watched his last fight when he won a title. He's a very, very accomplished and solid fighter at this weight division. But I don't think anyone would pick him to beat Crawford at this rate, in my opinion. And if he can do this, then Terence Crawford is possibly one of the best of this generation of fighters anyway at the moment, because that's some achievement.
Well, you know yourself, you've been in the game long enough, Paul. These greats, when they step up a weight, sometimes it's the weight that catches them out, because they're fighting bigger guys, and Canelo exactly, yes. So is 154 his limit, or can Crawford go up to that 160? I mean, the 160-pound division right now with Janibek and Charlo, whatever, it's wide open. So can he go up to 160?
Look at the size of Janibek. Do you think Crawford could hold his own physically with someone like Janibek the size of him? I don't either. I don't think he even has to go to middleweight, to be honest with you. If he can do it at light middle or super welter, they call it now, if he can do it at that, then if I'm him and there's no more real money to make, or no more real desire to make any more money for myself, then what's it called? A mic drop? What do the kids say now?
You're still cool, Paul. You're still cool.
See you later. I've just been undisputed champion at 3 weights. I've completed boxing. I'm off. Done. And walk off into the sunset with yourself with plenty in the bank, your faculties intact, your health intact, an unbeaten record because no one's even come close, and 3 undisputed titles are 3 different weight divisions consecutive. You know, it's there's no better achievement than that, unless you did it 4 times, which I just think it's a bit too far. Yeah, I think the middleweights are big boys, you know what I mean, and some of them middles like Janibek could shoot straight up to super middle and more than hold their own there. But yeah, to answer your question, no, 3's enough. Don't get greedy.
This will be the last one, right? Now, hypothetically speaking, right, Crawford's sitting on 40-0, I believe. He's 36 years old. The way boxing is right now, he can fight all the time. He can get these 10 fights in. He gets to 50-0, he's matched Mayweather. When you look at the body of work between these 2 fighters, of Floyd Mayweather and Terence Crawford, which one do you think's had the best career in terms of the body of work, opponents, belts and whatnot?
It's a tough question. It's probably a show in itself, or a podcast in itself, innit? You'd have to break it down literally. Like, some of the names Mayweather's beat, I don't think anything comes close, but how was he beating those fighters, if you know what I mean? I'm not discrediting or putting Mayweather down at all, but, you know, the Pacquiao fight took too long to make. I'd like to have saw that a couple of years earlier. Cotto, you know, Canelo, when he got Canelo perfect timing. And what Canelo did after losing to Mayweather is testament to him, Canelo himself. But I'd love to have seen him fight Canelo 2 years later, but then it probably would have been too much. Timing's everything. I always say this. Would Ricky Hatton have beat Costa Zoo probably 2 years earlier? Not so sure. I'm not discrediting Ricky by any stretch of the imagination. But when he beat Costa Zoo, the timing was perfect. The stars were aligned, whatever way you want to call it. Mayweather picked his fights at a good time for himself. And good on him. Got to be selfish in boxing. Why give him a chance when I can beat him a year later? And I'm the daddy, I'd call the shots. That's how he is. Crawford has done brilliant, as I keep saying. I think he's got a little couple more names to beat before we can start talking about, you know, Mayweather-ish. But that 50-0, you know, your last fight was against Conor McGregor. With all due respect, he's an MMA fighter and no fights in professional boxing. I can't see Crawford doing it like that. And to answer your question before, when we were talking about His Excellency, about the stuff that he's doing, what a position to be in. Yeah. And if I've got that pot of money sitting behind me, I'd be the first to go to these promoters. Listen, Frank Warren, Eddie, put your egos aside a little bit. I'm going to put a lot of money up for you. Let's all work together. Let's make these fights, and you're not having to put your money up or your network up. You're not going to have to do this. We'll all work together, and I'll take the stress off and the pressure off the lot of you, and we can make these big fights. And it's all for Riyadh season. It's all for making Saudi look great, which it's doing at the moment. Saudi's a phenomenal place. You've been there yourself. I've been there with you. It's some place. What they're doing at the moment, the whole country, the whole infrastructure, the way the country is improving and from the ground up. From the very first time I went there in 2018 or 19 with Callum when he beat Groves for the Super 6 final. It's come on so much. You know, I manage Ziad Al-Moufzizzo. I'm over there with him regularly, and it's constantly improving and becoming a bit more relaxed, and the culture, everyone's engaging and immersing themselves in it, and it's becoming a great place. But what His Excellency's doing at the moment, I'm not sure if any other group of people or set of people could have done that other than the Saudis, and they're making these fights happen, which is what ultimately the fans like us want to see. I want to see Joshua against Wilder. I really want to see Fury against Usyk. I really want to see Fury against Joshua. There's no chance on earth these fights are happening unless is what's happening now in Saudi. That's the only way these fights.
The thing is, Paul, he's listened to the fans, and we're moaning that a lot of fans are saying, why is it always in Saudi? Can't we get these fights? And His Excellency has listened to us, and he's putting a show out in America, and he's got a show in September at the Wembley. So he's putting on the shows in these big markets, the US and the UK as well. So he's listening to the fans.
He is listening to the fans, but again, what the fans have to understand is, if I'm a Scouser and I've got £500 million sitting in the bank and I want to put a big massive event on, I'm not going to go and do it in Spain. I'm not going to go and do it in France. I'm doing it in Liverpool. I want it where I want it because I'm putting the money up for it. I wouldn't mind being a penny behind you, mate. This channel and all your YouTube views, eh? No, I say that to Coogan all the time. Eh? He must be raking it in him. You know, if it's me putting it on, I want it where I want it to be. And if it's Saudi and it's Riyadh season, then the event will be in Saudi Arabia, because it's bringing eyes to Saudi Arabia. It's bringing tourists to Saudi Arabia. It's showing the world, when Saudi Arabia opens up its doors, what it is actually like, and come and see for yourself is what they're saying. And we have been and seen it for ourselves, and you know how good it is there, and how well it is, and how well you're treated, and how nice a place it is. The fact that they're going to California and are doing shows talking about Wembley in September, that's brilliant for boxing again, because now it doesn't have to be in Saudi Arabia. Now the average fan on the street can go and buy a ticket and go and watch it in Wembley, or go and watch it in LA for the American fans who are there. But what a bill as well, by the way, the LA card looks like. That's some show. And again, fighters from Queensbury, from Frank Warren, fighters from Eddie and Matchroom, fighters from all across the board, top rank, all on a one show. And don't worry about your ego, don't worry about your ego, don't worry about your ego. You're all getting paid out of it, you're all getting your percentage out of it, and we're putting these fights on for the fans. Everyone wins.
Definitely, and the fans win as well. Paul, I know you've got a busy night, you've got to nip off somewhere and watch Live Hussey. Good luck to her tonight, and good luck to you, and I'll see you tomorrow, my man. Thank you, Paul, appreciate it, man, thank you.
Wall Street Memes Casino
I'm fine.
and Sportsbook.